Hi, I'm Gigi, and this is No Cap. No Cap means no lie. We keep it 100 in our own element, our own vibe, our own way. Thanks for joining us again as we explore Tulsa through the fun, powerful, and passionate lens of the town's next generation. Today at Central High School, you will meet 4 bright and inspirational young women. Each of them will shed light on how they have been doing during this pandemic, their views on current social issues, how they want to see our future, and so much more. Let's meet them. And as always, no cap.
Coping. During this year, normal is thrown out the window. There is nothing familiar that we know of, so learning and relearning and learning again is now. Voting, living, Black, emotional health, education, religion, justice, America, the world. Becoming who you are in this time of reflection over the past 9 months has been unique, to say the least. I sat down with 4 powerful young women, Kaitlyn, Alden, Kendall, and Sloan. We unpacked being alive today.
My name is Kaitlyn Johnson, and I'm a sophomore at the University of Tulsa.
My name is Alden Fuller. I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I go to Loyola University, New Orleans.
My name is Kendall Johnson, and I'm a sophomore at Quincey, Washington.
My name is Sloan, and I'm a senior at Bishop Kelly High School.
What does it mean to be woman in the world today?
I think what it means to be a woman today is rapidly changing, because at first it was like women, like we didn't grow up with like moms only cook dinner and pick up the kids from school. But I feel like over the past few years, it's changed a lot, with politics being a big part of it. And then also like another big part of it that I see, because I watch a lot of ESPN, is ESPN. Like you have Maria Taylor at the table full of men, which usually like would be unheard of. And so and Kamala Harris is gonna be the vice president. So I feel like the role is changing. Like we see women more in power structures, but I feel like on the day-to-day, there's still a lot of frustration with the concept of being a woman in 2020. I feel like when women now speak up for ourselves a lot of times and we don't put up with other people's mess, then we get said like we have attitude issues, which I think is unfair, because when boys stand up for themselves, they're just being boys, you wouldn't expect anything different. We're kind of changing it, and it's not always fun, because I hate being told that I have attitude issues, but really it's like demanding self-respect is not having an attitude issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like women and girls now are putting up with a lot less than we would before, and I think that's a good thing.
For me, like being a gay woman right now, it's a lot of realizing how much stuff I just don't have to put up with, Like there was, back when I didn't really know who I was, and thought I was romantically interested in men, I found myself really putting up with a lot of emotional labor and feeling like I was needing to take care of them and help fix their issues. And I'll find a lot of times even now, like I have met like friends that are straight men that will start just using me as their free therapist in ways that like I'm 19, I don't know how to fix your issue. I don't, just because I am a woman and I am smart and I know that I'm smart and I talk like it does not mean that I have all the answers. And I think I've just kind of realized that I love helping people and I like doing what I can for them, but I don't like being expected to just fill a certain role because of whatever chromosomes I may contain, And I think I've spent a lot of time just realizing that I don't need to do that, and I can choose when I want to,
So I think the role of a woman in 2020, with Kamala Harris being the first woman vice president, is changing, and change is necessary because she is the first, but she won't be the last to be in office. And I just think that it's a very good first step, but it won't be the last.
On social media, girls post like pictures of themselves, and people just pick it apart and find every little flaw that they can, and it tears that girl's self-esteem down, like shreds it. And so I think it's important that we all, like women, find confidence in themselves, because if you have confidence in yourself, then other people can't touch you, they can't hurt you, because you know your worth. And I think that's really important in this age of like social media.
Like I'm in a sociology class in college right now, and I really am learning how it's like there's an entire industry dedicated to making women feel literally terrible about themselves. in order to keep us not even subservient, but just under, like, we keep falling under this myth that, like, if we buy this product, our body will look this way, our hair will look this way, we will look this way, and then we'll immediately feel better and all of our problems will be gone because all of a sudden we look the way that we want. And like, there's literally billions of dollars poured into that exact idea all the time to help us feel that way. And I think it's just so important that we, deconstruct that and understand what's really going on when we see these advertisements, when they say things like, you want this, this is what you want. Like, do we really want that, or are you trying to convince us of that so that we feel that? Like, I think it's just so important of us it's so important for us to take back our power and our just like sovereignty of our bodies and ourselves, and know what we really want for ourselves, not what we're being fed all the time from people that are just trying to make money.
I really think that you brought up an important topic with social media, because like she talked about with industry, like we always had like the makeup industry is like, this is what a face should look like, but with social media, like that was a huge shift to, it was like, this is what bodies should look like, this is what you should dress like. And like, it's kind of, you really have to realize it's not possible to ever be whatever social media and the beauty industry are telling you to be, because like they're changing it all the time. It's like, today this body type is in, and then next year, like for example, like with Instagram, when Instagram started, it was a bunch of like skinny white girls, and then now what's in is like thick mixed people with like 5 different races. Like nobody's gonna go from being a skinny white girl to being this thick mixed lady in 5 years. Like you can't ever keep up.
But they're gonna try and convince you that
Right, you can.
Yeah.
If you buy this waist trainer, you can go from being and eat rice and potatoes all day. You can go from being girl A to girl B, and that's not realistic.
So I asked, how is it being in college this year or being in high school? I mean, it is different. So how is it learning in a virtual setting? And do you feel like you are really learning?
I'm learning, but I don't feel like I'm learning as easily as last year. I'm a person, I take hand notes, I like being in the class, looking at the professor. When I'm at home, it's so much easier. When I'm taking class in my apartment, it's so much easier to get distracted by the laundry, or I'm hungry, or whoever's walking outside. It's a lot harder to focus.
It's really hard to focus when you're not in class in person, like seeing your professors. I don't know I'm in a new city, normally when you go to college, you make friends in your classes, and like you know people that you can talk to. Like most of the time I don't know anyone in my classes. If I don't know what's going on, I'm kind of screwed because I don't know. And it's like with Zoom, I'll log on and I turn my camera off and put myself on mute, and then I will realize that I've been on my phone for 30 minutes. And I'm just like, well, there's that whole philosophy class out the window. I don't know what Descartes said this week.
So my school is doing hybrid. So I go to school 2 days a week, and then for 3 days I'm online. And that's been kind of nice, because doing online all week would be really draining, and I don't want to sit in my bed every day. So being able to go to school and see people, even though like only half of my grade is there, it's still nice to be able to be in the school setting again. I think the first 3 years of my high school experience, I kind of took for granted all like the activities we do, like football games, homecoming, prom. Like I didn't have a prom last year, didn't have homecoming this year. And then like football games, you enter a lottery to get a ticket. So like who knows if you're able to go to the game, and it's just a whole new like world, and it's so weird to get used to. And like when you're in class, if you want to take a drink or like eat something, you have to go stand in the hallway so that you don't have your mask down in front of other people. And also just being in class and not being able to see like people's faces, it's just weird.
I'm a lot more social of a person than I thought I was. Like at first, I didn't consider myself a social person pre-pandemic. Like I thought I spend a decent amount of time by myself. I'm improving by myself. But then once it was kind of forced to where we have to spend a lot of time by ourselves in college now, because you're not supposed to have people over. And then I have a couple in-person classes, but we're all 6 feet apart, not sharing materials or interacting. So in sports games especially, the way team football games haven't been the same, like it's still really nice that we get to go, because a lot of schools, they can't go. But at the same time, celebrating like a touchdown 6 feet apart from everybody, like nobody's hugging, you're clapping with strangers and jumping up and down. None of that's happening. So I guess I didn't realize how social of a person I am, but also like how social humans are in general.
So what I've learned about myself during this time is that it's super important to talk to people about how you're feeling, because I tend to like bundle up how I'm feeling inside, and especially during this time, it's just made me realize it's super important to express how you're feeling. So I talk to my mom a lot about how I'm doing, and it's helped me a lot during this time.
How are your relationships holding up? With friends, with siblings, families, girlfriends, boyfriends? Like, how are they holding up?
I've gotten really close with the people that I just have created this group with, because we're like, it's so weird to be going to college during a pandemic, because it's nothing like what everybody expects college to really be. And we've had to create like our own experience from scratch, which in its own way has been really fun.
My relationships with my family and friends that I had pre-pandemic are pretty much the same, even if the interaction is different. Like I still talk to my parents every day on the phone or FaceTime my siblings. And like my friends that don't go to TU, still FaceTiming them just as much. But I'd say at college, like last year, there was a lot more of meeting new people constantly, because you could just interact with whoever you wanted with no restriction. But now, like, one thing that I say that I hate is I feel like I don't know like any of the freshman class.
Like she said, my relationships with my family, I've gotten closer because I've spent so much time with them. But meeting new people, like if I was in school, I'd probably be meeting so many new people and getting to know them. But I've just pretty much stayed the same with people I know. Like for example, I play volleyball. So I've been around those people for a while now, since last year, and my relationship with them is pretty much the same, but I haven't got to meet many new people.
I'd say my relationship with my family has gotten stronger because we were stuck in a house together for a really long time. And we kind of just had to figure out how to like deal with each other, because usually we have like really busy lives, so we see each other in passing, but we don't really spend like quality time with them. So you kind of had to like force yourself to be kind to one another. And then at school, since September, like mostly every one of my friends have been quarantined from like contact tracing, so you get like shut out from the world for 2 weeks. So that's weird to have to just like sit in your room and just like the only form of communication you have is FaceTiming or texting.
The person that I've been talking to like since before any of this even happened, I would say we've definitely gotten closer, even though she's been here and I've been in New Orleans. I would say it's weird because we kind of got closer even though we were so far apart during that time. And like when I came back, it was very different than it had been in a good way, which is weird because I know a lot of people who are breaking up after being together for a year, 2 years, and everything kind of being fine when they're actually being forced to spend all that time together and really get to know these people.
So I've had a boyfriend for about a year. So by like when quarantine started, we were close already, but during quarantine it was hard because we'd FaceTime each other, but what do you talk about? Like what you had for breakfast? Like nothing new was happening. So it was just like you would get on FaceTime and then you just sit there.
During the last 9 months, the United States has seen a surge in the movement for Black lives. What role do you play?
I think that my generation and we play a huge role because we're the next people that are going to be in charge. And I think it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still be posting stuff. Like for example, I post so much stuff on my social media about what's going on, Black Lives Matter, because I think it's really important for people to see. And, you know, you're gonna have uncomfortable conversations. There's gonna be people who don't agree with you, but I've just like stepping up, and I've been, like when I was younger, I said I wasn't as like brave and, you know, I didn't voice my opinion as much, but I've really grown this year to speak out on it to people and just make sure that everyone realizes what's going on and how important it is to fight for what you believe.
As a queer person, I have to just say that so many of my rights and the things that I get to enjoy in terms of like the government or just social justice for the LGBTQ plus community, I owe all of it to queer people of color and specifically Black trans women because they are the backbone of this community. They have always been the ones that are fighting for us the strongest and the hardest with the least amount of recognition. And I don't know if I'd really be able to live with myself if I were not going out there and trying to do the same for them as they have done for me. And I think liberation for all people is so important, but specifically at this time, Black Lives Matter is one of the most important things in my life. And to be involved in that means more than almost anything, I think.
I think one thing that's been positive about us all being in the house is when George Floyd, when that situation happened, like everybody had no choice but to listen. You didn't have to go to work, you weren't going to school. Everybody's attention was on it because it was like there's nothing else to do, but everybody's watching the news for hours a day. For a lot of people that previously wouldn't listen, they had no choice and they're like, hey, maybe something is wrong. Because George Floyd, then they hear about Breonna Taylor, we're all still stuck in the house, just learning new information. And it was like, wow, like, I feel like for the first time in a long time, people who previously wouldn't listen started listening. And I feel like that's why this movement got huge, because people who aren't personally affected made the choice to care about something that personally affects us. And personally, I'm really grateful for that, because if you can scream all you want, but if nobody listens, nothing's gonna change. You know, we all have to talk about it for it to change. And I feel like our role, like our generation, is doing a lot more talking about it and being willing to listen to other people, even if you don't agree with them.
Living in my little midtown Tulsa bubble, I had no idea like how big of a problem it was, which I hate that I didn't know that. But when the whole thing with George Floyd went down, I remember I was like laying in my bed and I was like, I wanna like read about this. So I saw on Instagram people were posting like a bunch of stuff. So I was going through and just reading articles. I don't know, it was just like eye-opening for me. And then I just think it's important for like white people to just stand by the community and do as much as we can to help them.
This is your first presidential election. Describe your experience.
With the presidential election, it was crazy. I was like a first experience. Kanye West being on the ballot, that's insane. When I saw, like, I know other states had to write him in Oklahoma, he was printed on the ballot, and that's insane. Yes. And then just having my heart beating all day as I just look at the numbers climb, and 70% of this vote is counted, but you know, it could keep changing and the state might flip. Like, that was hectic. And I feel like it was hectic for everyone. Like, everybody was walking on eggshells, and then it was like, we won't know tonight. And you woke up the next day still like amped up. And so I feel like it was really stressful, but I'm proud of like my generation, how well we participated. Everybody, one of my teammates was out.
For me, it was scary. I think it was for a lot of people, but personally, I remember the night, like Monday night, I made a joke that was like, okay, we're in New Orleans. Where are we going to drink tonight? Because we might lose our rights tomorrow. Like, we don't know what's happening.
I wished so badly that I was 18 because I know who I wanted to vote for and I was very passionate about it, but I couldn't. So it was hard seeing all of my friends being able to go vote, and all I wanted to do was just go cancel out one of their votes. It's just really hard for me. So, yeah.
So I'm only 16, so I couldn't vote like her. I had older people following me on Instagram, so I still posted stuff like register to vote and make sure you vote to try to spread information about it, but I wanted to vote so badly. That wasn't all.
Right, gay rights, women's rights, rights for, you know, the situation at the border with the Dreamers and DACA, like, and then you've got Black Lives Matter. It was really strange to see like human rights issues be so divisive, because you think that it doesn't matter like what party you represent. If it's something that helps humans in general, then that would be, it's kind of like I saw something that was like, don't tell somebody you love them and then vote against them. Like, I feel like at this point in life, like I'm 18, I've got friends that are gay, friends of color. Like it would be hard to know, and I guess it's kind of hurtful to know that like as a Black person, I have friends who are voting for somebody that they know like their policy negatively affects me. Because while them, like it may be about economics, for me, I want my brother to be safe while he's driving home at night. And I want policy that reflects that.
So I had this theology teacher that I had freshman year, and when I had him freshman year, I was not a fan of him. But he quit to go sell Jesus merch. He has this Instagram account that all his like prior students follow, and he started posting all this stuff, and because he's so like to the right and so set in his beliefs, he cannot see the other side, so he's posting all this stuff. And at one point he said, if you vote for Joe Biden, you need to go to confession. And I was like, you're kidding me right now. Like, please say this is a joke. And so I slid up and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, we can't discuss this because you're my prior student. And it's just hard seeing adults that like, you know, be so like one-sided. And I don't know, it's just hard to see adults acting like that.
Also, during this election, I've just like lost friendships over politics, but I don't really have a problem with that because I don't want to be friends with someone who doesn't think other people should have human rights if you're not a straight white male or whatever. So I've lost a lot of old friends who support Trump, and I just don't have a problem with that.
So what is your hope for the year 2021? Where do you see humanity going?
My hope for 2021 is that we can get out of this pandemic and get it under control. And just a lot of stuff has happened this year, like racism and inequality. So I hope that that can improve and police brutality can stop and suicide numbers can go down because it has also been on the rise this year. And I just hope that our country and the world in general can change for the better next year.
Global healing, really. I think that so much of the problems that we face comes from so many people having so much unhealed like wounds within them, and just like generational trauma as well that we continue to carry on and never really think about resolving. Just because it's not really talked about that often. I just hope that in the coming years, because of all the awareness we've been able to garner through having to be alone and having to really think about ourselves and who we are, I hope that we're actually able to do something with that in 2021 and really fight for justice the way we need to.
Going off what she said, I would also hope for healing in 2021. I feel like 2020 was really divisive for America, and so, I mean, I have hope for us moving on that it's gonna get better. But at the same time, I think we've got a lot of work to do. I feel like 2020, like people have made a lot of sacrifices. Even, you know, it's dangerous to go out and protest. But when lives are on the line, like what are you gonna do? It's kind of people are done. I feel like everybody's kind of done this year. Like done putting up with the mess, done being nice about things. Like it used to be people would say something, maybe you didn't agree with it. Like maybe you felt like it was racist or homophobic. But like you didn't want to say anything. I feel like this year everybody's done. Like, no, that's enough. And I'm gonna call you out. So I feel like we did a lot of calling attention this year, and I hope that next year we see progress.
I completely agree with you with what she said. I think 2020 has just been like the worst and a dumpster fire of a lot of different things. And I just hope that 2021 is kind of just, it's like a new year. Like we can start over and start fixing what was broken or in 2020 or previous to that. And I just think we need to have a more positive, optimistic view of the world.
Thank you to Central High School for hosting us today. And a special thanks to Kendall, Alden, Kaitlyn, and Sloan. You definitely kept it real with such powerful and touching viewpoints. Because of you, the future of Tulsa is looking mighty bright. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and press subscribe. But remember to hit all the notifications so you don't miss a single video. Again, I'm your host Gigi, and join us every other week here on YouTube for No Cap, the voice of the youth.
And that's a wrap.